She drained our joint account and texted, "I'm leaving you. Good luck surviving." I replied, "You too." She didn't realize the account was set up as a business line of credit, solely in her name. The bank began calling her about the $80,000 debt within the hour. I, 31 male, was with Qley, 29, for 6 years, married for 3. The text came while I was at my desk job on a Thursday afternoon. "Just emptied our account. I'm leaving you for someone who actually has ambition. Good luck surviving without me. BTW already filed for divorce. Don't try to find me." I stared at my phone, then logged into our banking app. Sure enough, the account we'd been using for household expenses showed the previous balance, $80,000. Here's the thing about that account though. When we first moved in together 4 years ago, Qley insisted on handling finances. She was working at a bank then, said she knew all the tricks for maximizing interest, getting the best accounts, etc. I was young, in love, and honestly terrible with money stuff, so I agreed. She set up what she called our household account and added me as an authorized user. Said it was better than a regular joint account for tax purposes and credit building. I transferred my portion every month, she handled bills. Worked fine. What I didn't know until much later, and what Qley apparently still didn't realize, was that she'd actually opened a business line of credit, not a checking account, in her name only. As the sole proprietor of her consulting business that never really took off. I'd figured this out about 8 months ago when I finally started educating myself about finances, ironically, because Qley kept calling me financially illiterate. Noticed weird terms on a statement, did some Googling, called the bank pretending to be confused about our account type. The rep explained I was just an authorized user on a business credit line, not liable for any debts, only the account owner, Qley, was responsible for repayment. I kept my mouth shut, kept transferring my half every month. But I also quietly opened my own personal checking account and started building an emergency fund, just in case. So when I saw that text, after the initial shock, I actually laughed. She'd just stolen $80,000 from herself, from a credit line she'd have to pay back, with interest. I texted back, "You too." Then I waited. Took exactly 73 minutes for my phone to explode. Qley calling, declined. Unknown number, probably her mom, declined. Qley calling, declined. Text from Qley, "What did you do?" Text from Qley, "The bank says I owe them money." Text from Lee, "This is your debt too." Text from Qley, "Answer your phone." I screenshot everything, then blocked her number. 20 minutes later, her sister Meredith called. I actually liked Meredith, so I answered. "Theo, what's happening?" Qley's hysterical. Something about the bank calling about a massive debt. "Meredith, your sister just drained what she thought was our joint account and sent me a text saying she's leaving me." Turns out it wasn't a joint account. It's a business credit line in her name. Long pause. She stole money from a credit line? Technically, she borrowed it from herself, and now she owes the bank $80,000 plus interest. But that was your money too. No, I was just an authorized user. I put money in monthly, which technically counted as payments toward the credit line. But the debt, that's all hers. You knew? Found out 8 months ago. Never thought she'd do something this stupid though. Meredith was quiet for a moment. "Theo, she's with someone else, has been for months. Some crypto guy named Blake she met at a conference. I figured as much. You need to help her with this debt situation." "Why would I do that? She just stole what she thought was my money and left me for another man. Because it's the right thing to do." "The right thing?" "Meredith, she literally tried to leave me with nothing. She thought I'd be broke and desperate. The only reason she's in trouble is because she didn't understand her own financial setup." I hung up. Update 1. The entitlement has reached astronomical levels. First, Qley tried the legal route. Had some bargain basement lawyer send me a letter demanding I pay half the debt as it was marital funds. My lawyer, yes, I'd already retained one, responded with a simple statement. I was an authorized user, not a cosigner. The debt predated our marriage since she opened the account before we wed. Not my problem. Then came the emotional manipulation via her parents. Her dad, Robert, actually showed up at my apartment building. Doorman called up. "There's a Robert here to see you, says it's urgent. Tell him I'm not available." Could hear Robert yelling from the lobby about man-to-man conversations and doing the honorable thing. Security eventually escorted him out. But here's where it gets really interesting. Remember Blake, the crypto guy? Well, Meredith reached out again with some tea. Apparently, Qley had told Blake she was getting at least $80,000 in the divorce, plus alimony, plus half my 401k. She'd been spinning this tale of being married to a tech executive, I work in IT support, who was loaded but cheap. Blake thought he was getting a sugar mama. When Qley told him about the debt situation, he bounced. Literally ghosted her within 24 hours. She tried to move into the apartment he'd been renting for them. Yeah, she'd already signed a lease with him. But surprise, he'd never actually put her name on it. The landlord wouldn't let her in without Blake's permission, and Blake had already told them she was no longer authorized. So now Qley was homeless, 80K in debt, and single. Did I feel bad? For about 0.3 seconds. Then I remembered the good luck surviving text and went back to eating my cereal. But Qley wasn't done. Oh no. She created a whole victim narrative online, posted on social media about how her financially abusive ex-husband tricked her into debt, how I'd manipulated the banking system to trap her. Problem was, she'd forgotten that several of our mutual friends worked in finance. Her former coworker from the bank, Jerome, actually commented, "Qley, you literally worked in banking. You opened that account yourself. I remember you bragging about the rewards points." She deleted the post, but screenshots were already circulating. Then came the truly pathetic attempt. She reached out to my mom. My mom. Trying to get her to convince me to help with the debt. My mom's response was legendary. She sent me the screenshot. "Qley, Mrs. Davidson, Theo won't help me with this misunderstanding about our finances. As his mother, could you talk sense into him? The same sense you had when you were cheating on my son with that crypto fool? That kind of sense, delete my number." But the peak entitlement came yesterday. I got a call from the bank. Not about the debt, about Qley trying to report the authorized user card as fraud. She claimed I'd somehow stolen from the credit line without her knowledge. The bank rep sounded tired. "Sir, we've reviewed the account history. Every transaction from your card was for regular household expenses, groceries, utilities, etc. Does she really want us to investigate this as fraud?" "What happens if you do?" "Well, filing a false fraud report is a federal crime, and since she sent text messages admitting to taking the money, she withdrew $80,000 at once. How is that not flagged?" Business credit lines have different rules. It was technically her available credit, but now she owes it back with interest. The rate is substantial. How substantial? 24.99% APR. I actually choked on my coffee. At that rate, if she only made minimum payments, she'd be paying forever. Update 2. The spiral accelerated faster than I expected. Qley's lawyer dropped her after she couldn't pay the retainer. She tried representing herself in our first divorce hearing. Showed up in designer clothes, probably bought with the stolen money, and demanded alimony because she was accustomed to a certain lifestyle. The judge looked at her financial records, saw the $80,000 withdrawal, saw her texts admitting to taking it, saw that she'd been employed full-time until she quit 2 weeks ago, apparently thought she wouldn't need to work after cleaning me out. "Judge, ma'am, you withdrew $80,000 from a credit line, quit your job, and now want your ex-husband to support you?" He tricked me. He knew it was a credit line. "Did he force you to open the account?" "No, but..." "Did he force you to withdraw the money?" "No, but he should have told me." "You set up the account. You managed it for years. You work in banking. Ignorance of your own financial instruments is not your ex-husband's responsibility." Zero alimony. She actually owes Emmy money because she drained accounts that had marital funds in them. The $80 included my contributions over the years. But here's where Qley's entitlement went nuclear. She started calling my employer daily, claiming I'd stolen from her, that I was dangerous, that they should be aware they employed a financial predator. HR pulled me in for a meeting. I explained the situation, showed them the divorce papers, her texts, everything. They were actually sympathetic, but said the calls were disruptive. That's when I played my ace. See, I'd been recording everything, legal in my state with one-party consent. including a voicemail where Qley explicitly said, "I'm going to call your job every day until you pay my debt. I'll make up whatever I need to. They'll fire you eventually." HR's face went pale. Legal got involved. They sent Qley a cease and desist. She violated it within 48 hours. My company pressed charges for harassment. But wait, there's more. The bank started collection proceedings. Qley missed her first payment because she'd blown through most of the $80,000 already. How? Well, according to Meredith, who was thoroughly disgusted with her sister at this point, first-class tickets to Costa Rica for her and Blake, $12. Designer shopping spree, $15,000. Deposit on a luxury apartment she couldn't actually afford, $8,000. New car down payment, $10. Couldn't get approved for the loan though. Cosmetic procedures she'd been wanting, $7. The rest went to hotels, restaurants, and investing in Blake's crypto scheme. When the bank started calling about missed payments, she tried to negotiate. Claimed financial hardship. They asked for proof of income. She had none. She'd quit her job, remember? They accelerated the debt. Full $80 plus accumulated interest due immediately. Qley's solution? She tried to get Robert to co-sign a consolidation loan. He refused. She tried her mom. Also refused. Even Meredith said no. Then she hit absolute rock bottom of shamelessness. She started a crowdfunding campaign. Help a domestic abuse survivor recover from financial exploitation. I kid you not. The campaign included photos of her crying, a completely fabricated story about how I'd manipulated her into debt through complex financial schemes, and a request for $100K to rebuild her life. It raised $37 in 3 days. Someone donated $2 with the comment lol. Meredith sent me screenshots of Qley melting down in their family group chat, demanding everyone share the campaign, calling them unsupportive when they refused. Her own aunt responded, "Qley, everyone knows what you did. Stop embarrassing yourself." Update 3. The legal consequences started hitting. Remember the harassment charges? Qley got arrested at her parents' house. Robert had to bail her out. The conditions included no contact with me or my employer. She violated those conditions within a week by creating fake email accounts to send anonymous tips to my company about my criminal behavior. IT traced them back to her IP address. Back to jail. This time, Robert didn't bail her out immediately. Let her sit for 48 hours to think about her choices. Meanwhile, the divorce was finalized. She got her personal belongings, her car, that she was making payments on. 40% of the marital assets would have been 50%, but the judge factored in the $80 she took. I kept. The apartment was mine before marriage. My 401k, protected since she withdrew the $80K. My sanity. She had to pay. The $80K credit line debt. My legal fees. Judge ruled her behavior was malicious. Court costs. The total she owed between the bank and legal fees? About $95. Her solution was spectacular in its stupidity. She tried to declare bankruptcy. Except, she'd transferred some assets to her parents to hide them before filing. The bankruptcy trustee found out. Of course they did. It's their job. That's bankruptcy fraud. A federal crime. She panicked and withdrew the bankruptcy petition, but now she was under investigation. During all this, she was still living with Robert and her mom. From what Meredith told me, it was rough. Qley expected to be treated like a victim. Instead, her parents made her get a job. She's now working retail, pay rent, do chores, attend financial literacy classes. The irony. She lasted 2 weeks before having a meltdown about how everyone was punishing her for falling in love with Blake, who hadn't contacted her since disappearing. Then came the last desperate play. She reached out to my ex-girlfriend from college, Amber, on social media, tried to convince her that I was some kind of financial mastermind who'd conned them both, wanted to team up to expose me. Amber's response was perfect. She sent me the screenshots. "Qley, I dated Theo for 2 years. He's literally the most straightforward person I know. We broke up because we wanted different things, not because he's some evil genius. Also, girl, you stole $80K and got caught. Take the L and move on." But my absolute favorite part? Last week, I ran into Blake at a coffee shop. He tried to avoid me, but we ended up in line together. So I said, "How's the crypto going?" He looked embarrassed. "Look, man, I didn't know she was married at first. Don't care, but I am curious. Did she ever invest in your scheme?" "Yeah, about $15K. How'd that work out? The coin crashed. It's worth maybe $300 now. I actually laughed out loud in the coffee shop. Final update. The conclusion is both pathetic and predictable. Qley's debt to the bank went to collections. Her credit score is destroyed. She'll be dealing with this for the next decade minimum. The harassment charges resulted in 18 months probation and mandatory anger management classes. She has a criminal record now. Her job at the retail store lasted 6 weeks. She got fired for berating a customer who she claimed looked at her judgmentally. Now she's working at a call center, ironically doing collections. She tried one more Hail Mary, reached out to me through a mutual friend asking if we could start over. Said she'd learned her lesson, and Blake meant nothing. My response through the friend, tell her I said good luck surviving. The mutual friend later told me Qley went ballistic, screaming about how I'd ruined her life and set her up. Robert finally kicked her out after she tried to steal checks from his checkbook. She's now living with a cousin who charges her market rate rent and requires first and last month up front. Meredith and I actually still talk occasionally. She told me Qley recently said at a family dinner that she was the victim of a sophisticated financial conspiracy and that I'd probably been planning this for years. Her uncle, who's an accountant, responded, "Qley, you opened a credit line, forgot it was a credit line, stole from it, and got caught. The only conspiracy here is how you graduated from college. As for me, I'm doing fine. Kept my job, my apartment, my retirement savings. Started dating Jade, a woman from my rock climbing gym who actually understands how bank accounts work. The AITA Qley stole? Well, technically she stole it from herself, and I'd only contributed about $20 of that over the years in monthly payments. The bank considered those legitimate payments toward the credit line. So really, she played herself. Last I heard through the grapevine, she's in debt for the next 15+ years. Living paycheck to paycheck. Blake is being investigated by the SEC for his crypto scheme. Her parents barely speak to her. She's banned from 3 local banks for aggressive behavior. Still posts vague quotes about surviving betrayal on social media. The moral of the story? If you're going to drain a joint account and leave your partner with a good luck surviving message, maybe make sure you actually understand what kind of account it is first. And definitely make sure it's not a credit line in your name only. Because turns out, karma doesn't need my help. Sometimes idiots destroy themselves with their own entitlement. Good luck surviving, Qley. You're gonna need it for the next 15 years of monthly payments. Edit. Since people keep asking, yes, this is all legal. No, I had no obligation to warn her. She set up the account. She managed it. She worked in banking. Her ignorance of her own financial instruments isn't my responsibility, especially after she tried to leave me with nothing. Edit 2. For those saying I should have told her, she literally sent me a text saying she was leaving me and to good luck surviving after stealing what she thought was our money. Why would I help someone who did that? Edit 3. Qley, if you're reading this, and Meredith says you've been hate searching my username, that financial literacy class you're taking, pay attention. Might help with the next 180 monthly payments you've got left.